Opendore was the home, particularly of Isabel Howland. This is considered Isabel Howland's house.
She selected that name because she wanted it to be a welcoming spot to the community, to the people in the community. And even when she was away for extended periods abroad, the house was left open.
Opendore is significant in that it helps tell the story of Sherwood. It helps tell the story of a community that had interest in civil rights and human rights. It's a story of Quakers and suffragists and the Underground Railroad.
We're used to writing history and to understanding history as being the history of mostly of great white men. And we study these great men and we think we know history. But in Sherwood, something else is going on. William Howland purchased the property in 1853. He married Hannah shortly afterwards. Isabel was born in 1859. Herbert was born in 1863. William and Hannah were part of the abolition movement, and William, we believe, helped his father in the Underground Railroad.
The Howlands were actively involved in the Quaker community, and that community, by its basic nature and theology, is supportive of caring for people, and particularly rejected people.
When we talk about Underground Railroad being connected to a house, we usually think of secret hiding places. In Sherwood, the formerly enslaved, the freedom seekers would come through, and they would, and they didn't have to hide because they were in friendly territory. And they would come through, they'd go to Canada, or they'd even settled here. Many of them just would settle in this area. Hannah Howland, Isabel's mother, was the first president and one of the founders of the Sherwood Equal Rights Association.
I think there was a fair amount of activity here related to the whole issue of who has the right to vote. And probably it was not just focused on women, but maybe minority people, people of color, people with limited financial means. In other words, it wasn't just the big shots in the town that had the right to vote.
Isabel became president of the Cayuga County Political Equality Club. 2 years in a row they had 4th of July patriotic rallies, they called them. So instead of being these progressive, radical women, they were billing themselves as patriotic, and they had fireworks, they had ice cream, they had speakers, and dinner on the lawn. What could be more American than that? We forget that women's suffrage, gaining the right to vote, it was political equality clubs. It was local people influencing their loved ones and their families and their neighbors to vote for this thing and to, march in parades and sign petitions and get this thing going. You've got Emily Howland. We've got Isabel Howland. We've got William Howland, Hannah Howland. We've got, the whole town, Quakers, who are doing what they can to further the movement. William Howland died in 1905. In 1910, his daughter, Isabel Howland, decided to do a major renovation of Opendore.
And that's when she decided that she was going to make this even better and bigger. and she probably about doubled the size of the house.
Changing the house from kind of a 19th century cottage of William and Hannah Howland, which they called Shade Lawn, into what Isabel called Opendore.
She hired a renowned architect, a well-known architect from Syracuse. His name was Albert Brockway. He renovated the whole building and added on to it, added a major addition to it in the colonial revival style.
I was fascinated with the old original blueprints. They were fragile. They showed the extensions that Brockway was proposing in 1909, and one of the things that I became fascinated about was the evolution of the house.
And perhaps she wanted to have a place out here in Sherwood that could kind of meet the kind of standards of the places that she had been visiting in some of her friends in Auburn, because Auburn was the city.
It was a bit over the top, according to some folks. Her Aunt Emily just thought it was too much of an extravagance.
She had the interest and she had the money, and so she built this lovely, lovely home.
She wanted to make a major renovation for one reason, because she wanted to have a building that was open to the community.
And even when she was overseas for extensive periods, she left instructions that the building was to be available to the community for use as a social center, as a place for activism, which indeed it was.
Isabel Howland died in 1942. She had no children, and her brother Herbert had no children, so the building was sold by the executors of the estate.
After Isabel's death, the property went through a series of owners and was used as a residence and also a boarding house for many local teachers in the Sherwood School. Eventually, the property was purchased by an antiques dealer out of New Jersey who used the building for storage and also for his family home for a period of time.
When they moved back to New Jersey, they pretty much abandoned the building, and there was no more maintenance done on the building, and over a period of years, it deteriorated.
My first visit was in June of 2008. We came out to explore to see what the conditions were of the building. And there was probably about 24 or 30 inches of debris on the floor in this room. The floor framing was split. We didn't know that at the time, that we were walking on top of it. And the house was in really terrible condition.
The place was a mess. There were probably books this high in this room and in the room over there. Books and phonograph records and papers, envelopes, and everything. By that point, it was completely trashed.
Frankly, it was so far gone. I've been doing this for 40 years and I've never seen a building this far gone. But there was spirit.
People in the community were horrified because this landmark, this building that was so important to the history of the community and to the self-identity of the community was just being left to fall apart.
It was an important component to the hamlet. Losing this building, another historic property, would have really been devastating.
An opportunity presented itself to acquire Opendore, which the museum took with really no certainty as to what the outcome was going to be of that. And it ran the whole gamut of opportunities, from a full restoration to let it rot into the ground and just have the property available.
Crawford and Stearns worked with the folks from the Howland Stone Store Museum to acquire a grant from the National Trust for Historic Preservation, and in 2011 completed a conditions assessment report for the property and made some recommendations about possible reuses for the project.
The museum had the wherewithal to make application to New York State for an Environmental Protection Fund grant for historic preservation. So all of a sudden there was $400,000 available to the museum to start what was called Phase 1.
It was determined that the south half of the building really had substantially failed and structurally was really unsound, and we made a decision that we would pursue the removal of the south part of the house. Many of the architecturally interesting components of the house were salvaged. We made the decision to expose the foundation so that people could understand that the property was a larger building at one time, and we put a cap on the foundation.
Phase 1 was essentially salvaging that part of the building that could be salvaged, tearing down the parts of the building that couldn't be salvaged, removing the huge amount of debris and hazardous materials that were in the building, putting a new roof on it. So the deterioration was stopped. We applied for a grant for what we called Phase 2 to construct the west wing, to fill in that one quadrant of the building. And twice we went out and bid the work to general contractors, and twice it came in far above the amount of funds that were available.
A group of volunteers came together and said, why don't we consider building the addition?
And that's where the project really took a whole different direction in my mind. We said, yes, we think we can do it. We have the skills. We had the drawings already available from our architect.
Enthusiastic volunteers. Some had carpentry backgrounds, some had engineering backgrounds, and some had just an interest in Opendore.
And we attracted some other people who liked building things, liked contributing to a civic project, and I think more than anything else, liked working as a team. What really happened was we found it was a lot of fun.
That special community effort really, I think, made a difference in kind of that pride of place.
And we decided that we would just continue on with this volunteer effort, restoring the outside of the building, scraping, repainting, replacing trim, putting on storm windows, exterior doors, building the exterior handicapped ramp. We just did it one increment at a time. It's been 6.5 years now, but we're just about done. We've got some little finishing work, and this building will be virtually complete. Our mission is to tell the story of the Howland family and their remarkable contributions really to American history. We have salvaged a wonderful historic building and property along the way and served the purpose of the museum.
It's been a journey. It's been a lot of hard work.
So when I come in here now and I see all of the work that's been restored, the good things that have come back, I marvel.
It's really been a great project.
It makes me feel really proud to come into this facility, to see the community come together.
People that had lived in this area or still live in this area that watched the building literally rot into the ground for many, many years and were unable to do anything about it, to see it saved has meant a lot to the community.
The restoration of this building has done the same thing for Sherwood today as Isabel was trying to do for Sherwood and the whole movement back then. Bring the bigger world to this place and make some of this place part of that bigger world.